want to explain subjects of international law. I'm ADRIANA and my friend.
I am ZANETA BUDINSKA.
And I am David PURBA.
Happy watching!
Definition of international law. Mokhtar Kusumaatmadja defines international law as the overall rules and principles of law governing relations or issues that cross national boundaries that are not in civil nature. Mokhtar explained the scope or substance of international law includes: first, relation or legal issue between the state and the state; second, relation or legal issue between the state and non-state legal subject; third, relation or legal issue between non-state legal subject and non-state legal subject with one another. International law regulates relations or matters that cross national borders between: first, country by country; second, countries with another legal subject are not countries; third, legal subjects are not countries of each other. Forms of international law. International law has several forms of embodiment or patterns of development that specifically apply in certain parts of the world, including: first, regional international law, applicable or limited to the area of application, for example, America, or Latin America international law, the concept of the continent shelf, which originally grew in the American continent, to become general international law. Second, special international law, applies to certain countries, for example, the European Convention on Human Rights. International law subject requirements. First, to become a subject of international law, an entity must have a legal personality. Second, to be said to have a legal personality, the entity must have certain skills. Subject of international law. This time, we will explain the subject of international law itself. International subject means any owner, holder, or supporter of rights and bearer of obligation under international law.
International law subjects themselves consist of 1. Country. It is the main, oldest, and the most important subject of international law. There are actually several types of state forms, such as republics, kingdoms, unions, or unitary states. The subject of international law has absolute sovereignty and supreme power, which cannot be divided and separated. This sovereignty and power is also limited by several factors, such as international law, the sovereignty of other countries, and universal human values. The state as a subject of international law has several qualifications that must be met, such as a permanent population, a defined territory, government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other countries. According to John Bodan, the state as a subject of international law has original, eternal, and highest sovereignty. All the countries have the responsibility to protect the people, with the assistance of the international community, through diplomatic, economic, legal, and military assistance in times of urgency. 2. International organizations. International organizations were formed to permanently enhance the international cooperation to achieve common goals, such as the LBB, United Nations, ASEAN, and NATO. Relations between countries will grow the principle of the international law itself. Number 3. International Red Cross, or ICRC. Based in Geneva, Switzerland, the ICRC is an independent subject of international law that focuses on universal humanitarian issues such as war, natural disasters, and displacement. 4. Vatican Holy See. Headquartered in Rome, this subject of international law has authority in the spiritual and religious field, under the authority of the Pope, by establishing the diplomatic relations with countries in the world.
5. Liberation organizations. The subject of international law is still controversial because it is highly political and subjective, closely related to the emergence of awareness and a sense of awakening for the people in the colonial territories for the right to stand as an independent country. 6. Belligerent. A belligerent is an individual, group, country, or other entity that acts in a hostile manner, such as engaging in combat, the condition of being in fact engaged in war. 7. Trust territories. Trust territories are the former colonies of countries that lost in World War I, with guidance and direction for independence. 8. Individuals. Individuals can become subjects of international law if they obtain permission from the country as independent international legal subjects, because they have their obligations and can be directly accounted for for their actions that violate international legal principles. 9. Non-governmental organizations or NGOs. Organizations that generally is formed independently from any government. They are typically non-profit entities, and many of them are active in humanitarianism or the social sciences. 10. Multinational corporations or MNCs is a corporation organizations that owns and controls the production of goods or services in at least one country other than its home country. Black's Law Dictionary suggests that a company or group should be considered a multinational corporation if it derives 25% or more of its revenue from out-home country operations.
That's all for our video.
Thank you for watching.
Nature